Well, good evening, folks, in the United States and Canada, and looks like several other nations here tonight. Welcome to the webinar. We appreciate you joining us. Our speaker, as is usual on Tuesday nights, is Greg Halloway. Greg has well over 40 years experience in the investment-grade coin world, and he brings all that experience to his webinars. He spends a lot of time studying and researching, so I hope you really appreciate the work that he puts in on these, and that if you missed any part of the series, you'll send us an email to webinars@bellsouth.net so that you can stay up to date. It's always best to attend the webinars live. We do record them, and at your request, we'll send you a link to them. The only problem is on a recording, you can't ask questions. Well, actually, you can ask questions, but nobody will answer them. So it's always best to attend live if possible. But if not, recording is definitely the next best. Greg, let me go ahead and turn the microphone over to you because I know you have a lot to cover tonight.
Well, thank you all for listening. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And as Tom just mentioned about, ironically, I was just wrapping up some research work I've been doing when he said that. I just put the book down when he said that, so I could get ready to speak to you. Now, I want to let you know in advance that our webinar tonight is not very long. I am, as they usually are, I am building a series on the subject. The rest of them will be longer in duration as I delve into various elements of it. Tonight is just basically an overview, so that's why it's not great in length. Plus, I'm doing additional research to enhance your understanding of this particular series of coins. I have personally become extremely enthralled by this particular series, and the reason why I am taking the time to research it and explain it to you is so that you can develop the same enthusiasm that I have. Now, obviously, there's always an ulterior motive, and the ulterior motive in this case is that I think we can make a heck of a lot of money on these coins. So I do find them extremely interesting, extremely diverse, but I have to say that the bottom line is that I think there's a lot of money to be made, and therefore that's why all of you will probably find this interesting too. Lots of coins present opportunities for appreciation because the marketplace in recorded history on the great rarities has never dropped. But, of course, my goal is not merely look for things that may go up. I'm looking for things that will go up a lot. And I have focused in on this particular coin for that reason. So it's my goal to help all of you understand why I believe this particular series is so desirable. So let's jump into it, first of all, with an update as to what's taking place with the price of gold. Tom, I did not have the time today to check in the gold price. Last time I checked, it was in the 1720s. Perhaps you've got an exact number for us, but the market has remained in a narrow trading range now between roughly 1,700 and 1,750 for the past couple of weeks now.
Yes, Greg, Greg,
yes.
it closed at 1707, but several people are saying you need to speak up louder, please.
Okay.
Much better.
I'll speak as loud as I possibly can.
Okay.
So gold has been in a narrow trading range, and it has been steadily dropping from a near-term peak that it hit of nearly 1,800 a few weeks back, so it has been trending lower. I've said this repeatedly. Frankly, I have no idea why gold goes up or down from one day to the next. I wish I could figure it out. I do believe that it's easy to understand why it goes up long term, and that's simply because of the fact that the more dollars that are printed, the more valuable gold is. So for that reason, I tell our friends, don't try to second guess where it might end up today or tomorrow. Just buy it over a period of time and average your costing, and by that way you'll do well. My advice has always been build your gold position as quickly as you can, because it will definitely be more valuable in the future than it is today. As a matter of fact, I recently was forwarded an article by one of Tom's friends that was a projection by Bank of America Merrill Lynch that gold would hit 3,000 an ounce within 18 months. If you'd like a copy of that, let Tom know, and we'll send you the email that we got about that. So we're not the only ones who believe that gold is going up. I also read a report that Solomon Brothers was projecting gold at 2,500 next year. So definitely the price is going higher, but what it's going to do this week, I don't know. I think that it's a good buy at the current price range, so that's my advice on that subject. How the debates and the ultimate election play into all this is hard to tell what the impact might be. Should Romney win, perhaps there'll be a short-term lull in the gold price because of the assumption that perhaps he'll be able to take the bull by the horns and lower the deficit. But fact remains is that nobody's talking about paying it off. They're only talking about slowing it down. So that still means that the gold price is going to go higher, regardless of who wins. Okay, now let's get into the topic tonight about gold sovereign. It is the world's longest coinage series, over 500 years of near continuous minting. You can buy a brand new one today from the Royal Mint. It's about 40% or so over the gold price. So they're still being made today. Now, throughout most of history, they were made for actual commerce. Since the 1930s, they had been made pretty much only as collector's items or as bullion, not for actual use in commerce like our forefathers. Next, the sovereign was created by King Henry VII as a magnificent new large coin that was to represent the gold version of the pound sterling. The name, the pound, which is the currency unit of Great Britain, took its name from the fact that it took 240 pennies to make a pound. So the coinage of Great Britain throughout the early years of its history only existed in silver. There were no gold coins. So it took 240 silver pennies. A penny at that time was silver. And let's discuss that for a minute. Imagine that, to think that how times have changed. Presently, our pennies aren't even made out of copper anymore. They look copper, but it's just a fake coating. They're actually made out of a very, very cheap base metal, because now even copper is so valuable that the penny cannot be made out of copper anymore. It last was made out of pure copper in the 1970s, I believe, or early 80s. I forget exactly when was the last pure copper penny. So it's been quite a while since there's been copper in the penny, as the rise of copper has gone so high. But at one time, the penny was actually silver, and 240 of them equaled a pound meaning the weight pound, not the currency unit pound. So Great Britain determined that its currency would be actually called the pound based on that weight equivalent, and that's where the name sterling pound came from, or the pound sterling came from. Well, Henry VII created the equivalent of the pound sterling in gold. This was the very first time that a coin was created that matched the currency unit of Great Britain in one coin. Previously, it took 240 of them. Now we have the pound represented in a single coin. Since he was the king, naturally he decided to name it after himself, so that's why he called it the sovereign. It's a large, beautiful coin, and we'll show you pictures of these in the coming weeks. The Henry VII sovereign is a mega rarity. It's probably worth close to $1 million, something that we're looking for the Golden collection. There's only a few known to exist, so that's a very prized piece, to say the least. Next, please. So Great Britain became the world's largest empire. In the Victorian age, it reached its zenith of power. It was said at that point that 25% of the world's population and 25% of the world's landmass was controlled by Great Britain. That is a truly amazing accomplishment for a small island nation. When you think about how they pulled it off, it's remarkable. It's unlikely anyone in world history will ever replicate what Great Britain did. So we have to say that it went down in history as the world's greatest empire. Next slide, please. Now, we've already talked about this fact that 25% of the world's population is under Britain's control. So let's shift to the Victorian era. That is when I mentioned that Great Britain reached the zenith of its, that the sovereign expanded to proportions that are unknown in any other coin in world history. Next slide. That's when the sovereign became the world's only international coin. It was the first international coin and the only international coin. Here you see a beautiful sovereign from 1821 superimposed over the globe. That is part of the Golden Art collection. Next. Now, no other country in world history has ever made coins except on its home soil. The United States, for instance, only made coins in the United States. It didn't make coins in South America or in Europe. It's only made coins in the United States. Even when the United States occupied Europe in World War II, or after World War II, we didn't make coins there. It's still, coins were made only in the United States. Next, well, the sovereign is the only coin that was made on 5 continents. It's the only coin made by any country in the world on 5 continents, not just by Great Britain, but it's the only coin made by any country outside of its home soil. And on top of that, not only is it made on its home soil, it was made on 5 continents. Now, why was it made on so many different places? Well, the pound was the world reserve currency before the dollar took its place in the 1940s. So as Great Britain built this gigantic colonial empire, they needed to conduct business all over the world. So let's skip through these next slides as I'm talking. So when it developed its power, it needed to spread out. So whether it was in England or India or Canada or South Africa, regardless of where the world empire reached, it needed to conduct business in all these different places. So therefore, the sovereign was made in all these different places to facilitate commerce. So collectors in India, in England, in Canada, and South Africa, and Australia all want English sovereigns. Now, they have coins from their own countries as a result of independence, but the coins from their own country, frankly, are not that interesting. The coins that were made while they were a part of the British Empire are the ones that set records and are the ones that are really interesting. For instance, Australia has 3 mints, one in Perth, one in Sydney, and one in Melbourne. That was the most prolific minting spot throughout the globe of the British Empire. And the world record for value for sovereign right now happens to be from the Sydney Mint. It's from 1920, and it's worth about $1.5 million for a single coin. There are 5 known to exist, and while $1.5 million may sound like a lot of money to you, it really isn't, because the equivalent U.S. version would be about $7.5 million. So that is the scope of the places that Great Britain made coins. Next slide. Now we're up to demand for sovereigns from collectors worldwide. Whether you live in any of these places around the globe, you are going to want to collect coins from the time frame of 1930 and earlier. Now, why that particular time frame? Because coins made after 1930, by and large, are not that interesting. Okay, there are a few exceptions, but 99% of the coins made after 1930 are boring. So we collectors focus on that as a pivotal point in history. The reason being is because in 1933, Roosevelt took the U.S. off the gold standard, which in essence allowed the rest of the world to follow pretty much after that, doing the same thing. So coins made after the 1930s are usually made out of base metal and just aren't that interesting to collectors. So most of these places did not get their independence until around that time frame, or just a little before or a little after. So as a result, most of the coins of collector interest were made during the time frame of the British Empire. Now, even in India, for instance, once the coins were no longer being made strictly for the British Empire, India was still a part of the British Commonwealth, which Canada still is to this day, by the way. And Indian coins still bore the image of the Queen or King of England on them, despite the fact that it was no longer ruled as a colony, but had its independence and was still had an alignment with Great Britain through the British Commonwealth, just like Canada's today. To those of you on the line who are from Canada, you undoubtedly know that all your coins have the image, and all your paper money have the image of Queen Elizabeth on them. Now, Canada is no longer part of the British Empire. It's no longer ruled by Great Britain, but yet it's still part of the British Commonwealth today. Believe it or not too many Americans realize that's piece of information, that Canada is part of the British Commonwealth. That's, again, why all of its coinage bears the image of Queen Victoria. So collectors from Canada, for instance, have no choice in collecting coins but to buy coins that have the rulers of England on them, because it's always been that way. So you can begin to see now why the sovereign would have such great appeal by collectors worldwide. Next slide. Sovereigns, therefore, are the most popular coin to collect on all the continents. Regardless of where you live, as you collect, you'll want to build a set of these coins. You see, Great Britain made many different denominations of coins, as the United States makes many different denominations of coins. But the sovereign is the only coin that Great Britain made throughout its empire. It didn't make small copper coins or silver coins or smaller gold coins or smaller or larger gold coins. Yes, there are larger gold coins that are very interesting to collectors. Many of you know that I really like the 5 guineas because they're big and beautiful, and collectors do like big coins. Okay, I understand that, and therefore I buy them when we can. Now, the sovereign is not as big as the 5 guineas, but the sovereign is the only coin that was made all over the globe. So it has a special desirability that supersedes size. So in this case, big size refers to big market size. And that's what I try to emphasize at the moment with this particular slide, that the sovereign is the most popular coin to collect on 5 continents. So it may not be the biggest in terms of the physical size, but it's biggest in terms of market size. So big can have 2 different connotations, market size or physical size. Next, please. Well, the Australian market is one of the world's best markets for coins. very interesting piece of information is that Australia allows investors to buy rare coins in their pension plans. This has never been allowed in the United States or in Great Britain. We're not really quite certain why it's not allowed, other than perhaps the government in both places is afraid that too many people will stop investing in government bonds and start buying collectibles instead. But whatever the ulterior motive is that coins cannot be bought in, I shouldn't say in pension plans, in some types of pension plans. They cannot be bought, whereas in Australia they can be owned in any type of pension plan. So there are some
Tim says Tim says about the people in Australia that invest in their rare coins and their retirement plans, smart people. And I have to agree. By the way, Martin made mention of the fact that Australia is also part of the British Commonwealth to this day.
Yes, yes, I should have mentioned that too, that Australian coins also bear the image of Queen Elizabeth to this day as well. So it is the British Commonwealth is actually quite large. You'd be surprised how large it still is today. So yes, Great Britain does wield enormous influence around the globe.
And by the way, I have a theory for you as far as why the U.S. government and England and most countries don't allow rare coins in government retirement plans. You made mention last night about the fact that FDR was kind enough to exempt numismatic coins from his gold confiscation. Personally, I don't think it's because he was nice, because I don't think he's a very nice guy. I think it was because of what I call the hassle factor. They didn't want to have to deal with people that had very valuable coins and telling them that they're only going to get $20 for every 1 ounce coin. You know, imagine if somebody had an 1849 $20 coin, which today is worth over $20 million. Back then had to be worth at least $1 million, I would guess. So I think that because so many of the coins were of the bullion variety, and there's only a very small number that were rare coins, they decided to exempt them to avoid having to go to court and to have a lot of hassle. And the way that applies to the subject at hand is this. There's been plans hatched in Washington going all the way back to the Jimmy Carter era to confiscate people's IRAs and 401ks. Well, actually, in Jimmy Carter's time, they're just talking about IRAs, but by the time Bill Clinton was in office, they had expanded their desires to 401ks as well. And in order to effectuate that, they have to have things in your IRA account that you can mark to market, as it's called. In other words, a stock or a bond is marked to market every day. At the end of the day, you know exactly what that stock or bond is worth. And you can do the same thing with bullion, with this gold or silver bullion. So if the government does allow bullion in retirement accounts, but they don't allow rare coins, just like they don't allow any other kind of collectibles that people make lots of money on, like antiques and rare paintings. They only want things that they can look at the computer and at the end of the day close out the account, because very few people realize, although there's thousands and thousands of different people that hold IRAs, there are just a limited number of what's called custodial companies that hold the assets in custody. So basically, if they did decide to do a gold confiscation, which a lot of the reading I've done says that they'll probably do it, if they do it, once gold hits 2,000. If they decide to do that, they only need to go to a very small number of custodians and say, okay, freeze all accounts, mark to market at the end of the day, and then, you know, the two different plans are either force people into the black hole of Social Security, or the more recent plan that's been bandied about since Obama's been in office is to let people go ahead and keep your IRA and 401k, but force you to sell whatever you got. You're allowed to buy real estate, you're allowed to buy gold, stocks, bonds, commodities, all kinds of things in an IRA account. They would force you to sell them and then force you to buy treasuries, which do have a slightly better return than what Social Security does, but neither of them keep up at all with inflation. You'll always see the returns on treasuries less than the cost of inflation. So neither one will be a good deal for us. Anyway, that's my theory, and I'm going to stick to it.
Well, it does make sense. The resulting impact of Australia's allowing coins into pension plans has been a fantastically good bull market in Australia for quite a number of years now. This is a direct result of the fact that the supply of the great coins is very small, so even a tiny increase in the amount of money chasing them will have a major impact on the values. So obviously, it's our goal through lobbyist groups to push this type of legislation in both England and the United States for a possible similar type of result. So we are active behind the scenes in trying to accomplish that. The supply is very limited of these great coins, and as a result, when they come available, we jump. So therefore, we have accomplished that in some of the great treasures that we have found. We have found them as inexpensively as a couple $1,000s to up over, well over $100,000 for some of the ones that are where there's only a few known. In some cases, it's the only one known. I'm focusing on buying the best because that's where we'll do the best. So that's what has spurred the Australian market. That's what will spur the market for the rest of the world. So next, please. The need for the branch mint in all these different places we're talking about was, of course, for the global domination of commerce. This was Great Britain's grand plan, and today Great Britain has dominated the collector market. Next slide. See, today collectors want sets of coins by type, dates, mints, and variety. As a result, that's what we're trying to do. And the sovereign set is really fascinating. I'll give you a bit of tidbits of what I'll be talking about in the coming weeks. The size of the English Sovereign Series dwarfs that of any others, both in longevity of time and also in the intense number of varieties. The more varieties that a series offers, the more of interest it is to collectors. So this is my #1 priority in building the Golden Art Collection, is to work on building a set of the great sovereigns. Now, Tom and I don't have enough money to pull it off on our own, or else we wouldn't be talking to you tonight. It's plain and simple that, economics. We believe it's a fabulous opportunity, but we can't buy them all, the two of us. So that's where you come in by buying these great pieces. Together, we'll work to build a set. It's not a limited partnership. We're all free to do whatever we want to do with our own coins. However, by having a loose affiliation and you're being able to listen in weekly to the seminars that we give to tell you what we've been doing and how we're working on building the collection, we believe we will effectively have an impact on the overall marketplace. We can't buy every sovereign ever made. That's impossible. But most of them we don't want. Most of them are worn out because they were used for commerce, so obviously they'll be circulated. And most of them are common years. Millions of sovereigns were made, in some cases per year. So we're only focusing on the rare pieces, and I'll delve into those in greater detail in coming weeks, giving you the history of them and also specifically showing you some of the examples as well as price comparisons with American coins to show you why I'm personally excited about it. So when opportunities come up to buy the great pieces, we jump in and do so. We have been doing that recently and stretching ourselves financially to accomplish that because the opportunities to buy things where there's only 1, 2, or 3, or 4 known of don't come along every day. So when they do come along, we need to seize the moment. That's what makes the business that we're involved with different from other businesses. In other businesses, you can simply build up your stock to your anticipated volume of sales. In our building this collection, it doesn't quite work that way. I don't have the time to sit and call a bunch of people when I'm standing there with the opportunity to buy something right in front of me that hasn't been on the market in 20 years. I either have to take it or pass and then wait another 20 years. Well, we don't want to have to wait that long to build the collection. So thankfully, Tom has done a fantastic job of working with all of you. So I can say to this date, we haven't had to turn down one important piece. Bring this up. Okay, as I said, this was not going to be a lengthy one tonight because it was giving you some background. Perhaps this will give you some more opportunity for questions if any of you have any at this point.
All right, thank you, Greg. As always, when we have questions, we like to first focus in on the area of the subject matter that we've discussed. So let's make those questions first. But then if you have any questions about any area of precious metals, coin collecting, even about international financial matters such as hyperinflation in other countries, that type of thing that we talk about, feel free to put them in. In the meantime, let me just give you the holiday breaks that are upcoming. Next month is, we're going to see Thanksgiving on the 22nd. So the Monday and Tuesday following Thanksgiving, both webinars, the Monday night webinar and the Tuesday night, will be canceled. Then, of course, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, we're all going to be having fun and don't want to learn stuff. Same thing the following week on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So those will be our upcoming holiday breaks. As far as general announcements, this is, of course, the Advanced Gold webinar. If you've not ever seen the basic gold webinars, please write to the email address on the screen, webinars@bellsouth.net, and we'll be more than happy to send those to you. It's called Gold 101 through Gold 401. And also, anytime if you'd like a recording, sometimes people arrive late and want a recording of the webinar they're on, or maybe we're doing a series and they missed 1 or 2 of the classes. Always feel free to write to webinars@bellsouth.net for either the Monday or the Tuesday webinars. Now, if you're getting these notices for the Tuesday night webinars, but you'd like to attend the Monday night financial education webinars, these are on all areas of finance, and they're sponsored by Christian Financial Concepts. So if you'd like to be on those, please, again, write to webinars@bellsouth.net. You have to request to be on the list. They're 2 separate lists. And by the way, we don't say it here Eastern, but all times are published in Eastern time. So Mondays 8 o'clock Eastern, Tuesdays 6 o'clock Eastern. If you'd like to get a list of all of the recordings we've done over the last several years, for either the Monday night or Tuesday night, just request that. We'll send you an email and you click on it and it opens up. Or you can go to christianfinancialconcepts.com and get a free membership there. Just sign up at the bottom left of the main page, and then you can peruse all the different videos that are there. Finally, if you want to learn more about investment-grade gold, the coins we're talking about are investment-grade gold coins. the website to go to learn more about, just in general, is goldenarttreasures.com. And another good way to learn is to write to webinars@bellsouth.net and request that Gold Education Starter Package. Finally, the attendance contest, we give away a $20 U.S. Gold certificate, and that's announced at the last webinar of the month. And if you attend more webinars than anyone else, then you're the winner. If there's two people who have attended the same amount of seminars or webinars, then if one of the people has already won one in the past, then it goes to the one that didn't. And if there's just a tie, then we do a quick little drawing in the office here and handle it that way. Okay, let's go ahead with questions. We've got about 20 minutes here, so take advantage. You've got one of the top experts in the world here on the line and able to answer your questions, and I'm not talking about myself. So feel free to ask Greg anything you'd like to know. This is not a question, but this is something that Earl typed in earlier, Greg, when he was talking about your philosophy of buying gold, and he agreed. He says, gold, you don't wait and buy, you buy and wait. Sounds like good advice to me.
Good way to put it.
Okay. While we're waiting for people to put questions in, Greg, I'd like for you to comment a little bit. You've often told us that there are hundreds of different types of rare coins, and that you focus in your buying on 6 of those types of coins. One of the slides just previous year, they showed a set of coins, and of course, those that listen on a regular basis know that bullion coins only have one kind of value. That's why they're not a good investment. They're a good placeholder. They're a good insurance policy. Okay, I think that Greg predicted before we started tonight. He said they've been having a lot of storms that we might lose him, but it looks like that's what happened. That beeping was probably his cell phone disconnecting, but it's good that he's finished teaching. Anyway, what I was going to mention is that bullion coins have one kind of value. That's why they only respond to the price of the dollar or the pound or the franc or the yen or whatever currency they're priced in. So gold goes up as the currency goes down because it takes more dollars or euros to buy the same amount of gold. Rare coins have a second kind of value, and that's the value of the rarity. And that's important because it makes the rare coins an actual investment. They don't go up just in price, they go up in value. If you have a coin as part of a collection, then it has a third type of value. The photo that's up on the screen is the photo of the most famous coin collection in the world, which Greg owned at one point, and which he sold for $3.3 million. Today it's worth between $12 and $15 million, and it's obviously a very valuable collection. But if you were to break up the collection and sell the individual parts, although they'd each sell for a lot of money, it wouldn't be anywhere near the $12 to $15 million that the collection as a collection is worth. So that means that there's a third kind of value to rare coins that are part of a set or part of a collection. And that third kind of value is their collectible value. So this is why we are going after coins that fit in one of these 6 major categories, the sovereign being one of them. Our goal is to have the finest example of every one of the sovereigns ever made. They've been made for over 500 years. Now, what are the chances that we can get every one of them? Not terribly likely. Any coin that's over 349 years old is a hammered coin, So about 150 years of those are hammer coins, and hammer coins are hard to find. They're beautiful handmade coins made with a hammer, as is implied. So maybe we don't get all of those. Maybe we can only collect 400 years worth, or even 300. It'll still be something that no one else has. There's no one that's ever done a complete collection of all the sovereigns. So we're going to get as close to a complete collection as possible. And one of the things we do, a lot of you on the call tonight own sovereigns. As we get better ones in, let's see, you've got one that's graded as MS60, which is the lowest on MS60 is good, don't get me wrong, but uncirculated coins are the best coins there are. But in the 70-point scale, there are 11 different grades of uncirculated. It goes all the way from MS60 to MS70. Well, if you have an MS60 and we get the same year available and can upgrade you to an MS62 or a 63, or even the ultimate, a 64 or higher, 64 or higher is considered gym quality, then it's wise to upgrade, because what our goal is in all 6 of the areas, but particularly in the area of the sovereigns, to have one of the best known, or the highest grade known of each coin. And if you own one of those coins, you're part of that sovereign collection. Just like if you own a 5 guineas, you're part of the 5 guineas collection, and so on. Greg, you back with us?
Yes, I've been back on for a while.
Okay, I couldn't hear. Sometimes it beeps when you come back on. Anyway, I was just sharing with folks about the third type of value.
Yeah, actually, you've done a good job. I was thinking that I can go take a vacation and you can run these from now on.
Well, that's because I've listened to you for years.
So yes, Tom, you are learning and doing an excellent job. So we need to give him a round of applause too out there for having learned so much about this. So my goal is that all of you listening can understand it as well as Tom has also. Because there is great opportunity in building sets. It makes it very interesting. I was in Venice recently and took a tour. If anybody goes to Venice, make a note of this. I took a tour of the Palace of the Doge. That's the D-O-G-E. The Doge was the ruler of Venice. And in the palace, in the Doge's palace, there is a large room that contains the collection of the Doge, which is coin collection of the Doge, which is quite impressive. It's virtually complete for the entire roughly 800 or 900 year history of Venice, and I found it beautiful and appealing, so much so that it's something that I've decided to study more in depth in the future. Now, Venetian coins are beautiful and appealing, but they weren't made globally. So do I think they're rare and valuable and appealing and undoubtedly undervalued for that reason? Yes, but they're not. They were never traded globally, and that's what makes the sovereign very interesting. Because I was walking around looking at the exhibit with my wife, and she was saying, "Well, you should get some of these and some of these." And I was thinking, these are great coins. They're beautiful. They're rare, but they just don't have the sizzle factor that the sovereign does of being the only world coin. And that's why I want to build a set of them. And I've been talking about this coin for years now. And the more we are gaining on our set building strategy, the more excited I'm getting at this, because we have been able to acquire quite a few of the major rarities in the series now. So that's emboldened us to go after buying some more of the great rarities so that we can move toward a goal of building a set of them.
Well, I think that's really the difference between investors and collectors. Greg, if you remember, you did a webinar one time, you talked about the fact that a collector would rather sell his house than his coins. And in the office here, we build the PowerPoints, and I found this great picture of a house on a flatbed truck being moved from one location to another, and a guy standing in the street kind of waving at it. And that's the way I think of collectors. They'll get a great coin, and just because it's interesting, just because it's beautiful, just because they love it, they keep it. But we're going at this from an entirely different direction. Although Greg is a collector and he loves coins, we're going at this for profit. And that's why Greg picked these 6 types of coins. I mean, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of different types that he could have chosen, but he chose the 6 because they're the ones that he believes that in the future are going to have the most profitability. And that's why we zeroed in on mainly British Empire coins, because again, you know, it would take a while. It's a whole webinar about why we used to buy coins from several different empires, but now we've put most of our focus on the British Empire because it potentially has the most profit of all of them. And I don't know anyone better qualified to determine that than Greg, since he's been doing this for, what, 42 years now, Greg?
That's right.
By the way, just a little side note, you were talking about the penny and its composition. Lincoln pennies prior to 82. So in other words, you don't want anything 82 or on if you care about the copper content. You know, they were 95% copper prior to 82, or prior to and including 82. I'm sorry, but starting in 83, they're made of 97.5% zinc and plated with a thin copper coating. So I didn't realize that. I thought since copper was relatively inexpensive, they were still making pennies out of copper. So thanks for sharing that with us. Peter's asking,
yeah, I knew it was in the late 70s, early 80s. So that works out in my memory.
Okay. All right. Peter's asking, could you give us a list of all 6 of the types of coins? And by the way, there is a series on this called Treasure Hunting 101. And if you've missed that, just send us an email. We'll send you the links to all the recordings. You can watch them. But could you go ahead and share the 6 different types with us, Greg?
Yeah, hammered coins, silver crowns. The silver crown is a large coin. The term crown is a universal term that is applied to any large silver coin made globally. For instance, the United States silver dollar is called a silver crown on the world collecting arena. So silver crowns, and those were made by most countries around the world. Next we have the sovereign, of course. We've been talking about that. Next is 5 guineas. Next are proof coins. Proof coins are presentation pieces that were made for royalty. Great Britain invented proof technology in 1656, and only 2 countries in the world ever made gold coins during the time frame up until the 1930s, and that's the United States and Great Britain. Now, since the 1930s, lots of places make proof coins because they're made for collectors. But the era that counts, as I mentioned earlier tonight, is 1930 and earlier. And during that time frame, only Great Britain and the United States made proof gold coins in any quantity. There's a few scattered places around the world that may made 1 piece here or there, but I'm not counting that because that's not any real series that a collector can sink his teeth into. So only Great Britain and the United States ever made them with any frequency. And United States proof gold coins are worth many multiples of the price of Great Britain proof gold coins, even though Great Britain invented proof technology. So that's one of the reasons why we're focusing on proof coins. They're very undervalued. And the final category are mega rarities. Pretty much our rule of thumb is I don't buy anything unless it's a rare coin. The definition of rarity I've chosen is something that's 1,000 or less known to exist. Mega rarities are coins where there are 20 or less known to exist, and then we have break it down even further into extreme mega rarities where there's only 5 or less known to exist. In the Sovereign collection, I have recently bought a handful of extreme mega rarities where there's only 5 or less known to exist, and that's what has boosted our confidence that we can build an impressive set, because I've been able to find some of these extreme rarities that come on the market once in a lifetime.
That sounds like a, thank you, Greg. That sounds like an awful big statement. You know, I remember the first time I heard Greg say that, you know, once in a lifetime. I'm thinking, how can that be? But, you know, since I've been working with Greg, we bought coins, not just long ago we bought one. It was the first time it had traded, any coin of its type had traded in 22 years. And there's some coins that are so rare that people just hold on to from generation to generation. And if for whatever reason they're ever willing to give one of those up, you'd have to be kind of crazy not to take advantage of that. So,
for instance, some of the great rarities I found recently, I have not seen them in any of them during my entire career before. This is the first time. So obviously, those are the ones that are interesting, not the ones that you can buy in quantities. So, see, actually, the Sovereign exists in huge quantities, and I have seen, it's quite a paradox. Some of them are extremely rare, and then in other cases, I've been to coin stores looking at Sovereigns for some of the bullion buyers we have, and actually they're sold by the bucketful. I'm talking about, like, if you're a farmer, the kind of bucket you'd haul around to feed cattle with or something, and they just take these giant buckets and dump them out on the counter and count them up. So most of them are quite common and just worth their, they're just traded as bullion.
I have 3 things, Greg, that I like to study, besides the Bible, of course. As most people on the line know, I've spent most of my life in investments. I've pastored churches all my life, but I've always worked and made a living, mostly in financial services. So I love studying and learning about investing, and I love teaching about that. I teach a lot of times on Monday nights. But my other 2 loves, as far as things that I spend my time studying, are history and art. And as you know, if you watch very many of these webinars, art and history are very, very much a part of them. A lot of the value of these coins is in their beauty, the intricate handwork that went into making some of these coins is just unbelievable. And of course, when you understand the history of what was going on at the time when the coins were made, that not only makes it more interesting, but also helps you see why some coins are more valuable than others. So if you like art and history and you like to make money, this is it's a great area to spend time studying in.
I absolutely agree. And we'll now have to combine those 2 words and say, have a heart.
Okay. All right. Well, Greg, it's almost the top of the hour, and so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Do you have any final thoughts for our visitors with us tonight?
Well, I hope I piqued your interest in the subject to those of you who are new to this, and those of you who are been with us for some time and are already interested. Thank you for taking the time to learn about this. And over the coming weeks, as I delve into it deeper, you'll be able to make notes. I'll be showcasing the actual coins we've bought so far. So to some of you who own these great treasures, you'll actually be seeing your coins and lights in the coming weeks. And that's what makes this fun and exciting. It's building a set makes it intriguing. There is value to a set, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish for us. I believe that our set of sovereigns will be worth multiples of what we pay for it, even if we never complete it. Completing every last piece, as Tom already mentioned, is not likely. But the thing is that having a substantial data accumulation is still very valuable. And that's because of the fact that nobody has that. You can travel the world looking for them, and you're likely to come up empty-handed. They're very hard to find. So thank you for listening, and if there are no other questions, we'll wrap it up, and by just saying that Tom and I are available during the week for one-on-one consultations. If you'd like to talk about this further, if you'd like to participate in this, please get a hold of Tom and let him know, and we can talk again. So thank you for listening.
All right, thanks, Greg. By the way, one thing I meant to mention earlier when we were talking about collections is the last big coin show I attended, I met a retired missionary who loved to collect coins, and he had put together the most interesting display of coins. Now, there's so many different ways. Greg's told us dozens of different ways that you can collect coins. This was something that I had never seen before. What he'd done is he had, it took 6 showcases to do this, and he chronicled the travels of St. Paul the Apostle. And he had coins from each of the different places. He had this sort of a continuous map with like red string, going from one place to the other. And he'd had the coin and the description of all the different places that Paul had visited in his ministry, and coins from those. And I really, really wanted to buy the whole collection from him. I just didn't have any place to put it, but it was fascinating stuff. So anyway, we've been working here in the office, back and forth between here and Greg, on this series for the last several weeks, and put in hours and hours and hours. And I promise you, it'd be worth your time to attend every one of them. This is going to be probably one of the best series we've done. So we'll look for you next week. Next Monday night, I'll be teaching on the subject, what about silver? This is something I gave about over a year ago, and I've been getting a lot of questions about silver. So I've updated it, gone through and put in new slides and updated data. So don't miss that. And then, of course, number 2 in this series will be next Tuesday night. Thank you very much for being with us. Good night, and God bless you.
Night.